Young and the Restless predictions. Nick puts Sharon into Fairview. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a nice day. Before we begin the video, please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. Young and the Restless prediction number 1. Victoria Newman's the new black sheep. First up on YNR, Victoria Newman, Amelia Heinley, may step into the role of the family black sheep. That's a position usually occupied by her brother, Adam Newman, Mark Grossman. She's defying her father, Victor Newman, Eric Braden, both personally and professionally. So, it all started when her dad told Cole Howard, J. Eddie Peck, to stay away from his daughter. But he ignored Victor and took Victoria to bed. On Monday, Young and the Restless spoilers see Cole telling Victoria he's moving to Genoa City for her and their daughter. Then, on the work front, Victoria's in a moral quandary because Victor's targeting Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson. She wants to warn Billy, but this puts her at odds with her father. On Friday, spoilers say Victor snaps at Victoria. Is Daddy's girl now a black sheep on Y&R? Y&R prediction number 2, Chelsea and Adam do it again. Next in Y&R predictions, Chelsea Lawson, Melissa Claire Egan, and Adam could have another hookup. On Tuesday's Young and the Restless spoilers, Billy remains stubborn on his split from Chelsea. In the YR promo spoilers, Connor Newman, Judah Mackey, tells Adam that he and Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, had a good thing. But what he had with Chelsea was something more. With both Chelsea and Adam facing rejection, they might repeat what they did in Baltimore. Young and the Restless prediction number 3, Sharon Newman targets Daniel next on the prediction roster. Sharon Newman, Sharon case, might kidnap Daniel Romalotti, Michael Graciade. On Monday, Young and the Restless spoilers see Sharon's hallucination, Cameron Kirsten, Lyndon Ashby, pushing her to target Daniel. And Sharon realizes the repulsive suggestion is really her own. So, Sharon's seen yelling at her hallucination on the patio of Crimson Lights. Then, when Daniel shows up on YNR, Sharon asks him to talk privately. By Thursday, YNR spoilers confirm Sharon tries to cover up what she did. I suspect she might drug Daniel's coffee and stash him somewhere. She's tormented by memories of Cassie Newman's, Cameron Grimes, death and thinks Daniel needs to pay. Y&R prediction number 4, Nick Newman commits Sharon. This leads me to my next prediction. Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, may drag Sharon to Fairview Psychiatric Hospital to prevent her arrest. Young and the Restless spoilers remind that Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, already urged Nick to commit Sharon Newman. On Monday, CBS daytime spoilers show Nick discussing Sharon's missed doctor's appointment and unanswered calls. Mariah Copeland, Cameron Grimes, and Faith Newman, Raylan Castor, go with Nick to Sharon's house. It's a mess, and she's gone. By Friday, Mariah busts Sharon in a lie. The autumn breeze swept through Genoa City with an eerie stillness, carrying with it the foreboding scent of change. The falling leaves mirrored the descent of a woman once vibrant and strong, now teetering on the edge of collapse. Sharon Rosales had weathered storms many wouldn't survive, battles with bipolar disorder, cancer, heartbreak, and betrayal. She had always come back stronger. But this time was different. This time, her demons weren't just knocking at the door, they had taken up residence. Nick Newman had watched it unfold in slow motion. At first, it was subtle, a few forgotten appointments, missed calls, a dazed look that lingered longer than it should. But then came the emotional swings. Her moods turned erratic. One moment, she was obsessively scrubbing every surface of Crimson Lights, the next she was isolating herself at the cottage for days. She wouldn't answer texts. Her eyes, usually so warm, were now vacant, glassy pools of confusion and fear. Faith noticed first. She asked Nick if something was wrong with Mom. Nick had brushed it off initially, chalking it up to stress. But when Mariah found Sharon disoriented in Chancellor Park, unsure of how she got there, the alarm bells could no longer be ignored. Nick had tried talking to her. Gently at first, then firmly. He brought up therapy, medication, even a short stay at a wellness retreat. Sharon refused all of it. She claimed she was fine, that everyone was overreacting. But she wasn't fine. Not even close. She was unraveling, thread by fragile thread. And then came the fire. Sharon had forgotten a lit candle in the cottage bathroom. By the time Ray, who had stopped by to check on her, noticed the smoke, it had already begun to spread. Fortunately, the fire was contained before anyone was hurt, but the incident shattered the fragile illusion that Sharon could manage this on her own. Ray was shaken. Mariah was in tears. Nick was resolute. The next morning, Nick made the call. He hated himself for it. He paced his living room for hours before finally pressing the number for Fairview Psychiatric Hospital. The same institution that had once nearly broken Sharon would now, hopefully, help save her. But the guilt pressed on him like a weight he couldn't lift. He remembered all too well what Fairview had done to her years ago. How it had manipulated her, misdiagnosed her, punished her fragility. But things had changed, new doctors, better oversight. Or so he was told, he made sure of it. He visited Fairview himself, walking the halls, scrutinizing the staff, demanding transparency. Only after speaking to a compassionate psychiatrist named Dr. Ava Brent, who had a reputation for trauma-informed care, did Nick allow himself to consider it a viable option. He didn't want to do this. But doing nothing wasn't an option anymore. The day he brought Sharon in was gray and cold. She was calm, eerily so. She didn't argue. She barely reacted. Nick held her hand the entire way, speaking gently, though she offered no words in return. Her silence was louder than any scream. At the doors of Fairview, she turned to him briefly. There was a flicker of clarity in her eyes, just for a moment. Then it was gone. Paperwork signed. Possessions handed over. A slow walk down a sterile hallway. Then the door closed between them. Nick stood on the other side, staring at the metal frame as if willing it to open again. But it didn't. And when he finally left, the weight in his chest didn't lift, it grew heavier. The news traveled fast, as it always did in Genoa City. Victor was stone-faced but supportive. Nikki wept quietly. Victoria tried to offer comfort, but she also questioned Nick's decision behind closed doors. Phyllis, surprisingly, didn't criticize, perhaps understanding more than she let on what it felt like to lose control. Faith was devastated but held it together, clinging to Mariah, who tried her best to stay strong while breaking inside. At Crimson Lights, the staff tried to keep things running. Customers asked questions. Some whispered. Others offered sympathy. The absence of Sharon, the heart of the cafe, was felt in every corner. Inside Fairview, Sharon's world shrank to a sterile room and quiet halls. Days blended together. She spoke little. Therapy sessions were slow, methodical, gentle. Dr. Brent didn't push. She let Sharon unfold in her own time. But progress was inconsistent. Some days, Sharon showed sparks of herself. Others, she withdrew completely. Nick visited often, never missing a check-in. He brought her photos, of the kids, of her garden, of the cafe. Sometimes she looked at them. Sometimes she turned away. But he always came. He brought her favorite tea. Her journals. A book of poetry they once read together on the porch. Each visit took something from him. A little more hope, a little more strength. But still, he came. One rainy afternoon, Sharon finally spoke. Just a few words. Soft. Almost inaudible. But enough to crack open the door to her healing. It wasn't a breakthrough. It wasn't cinematic. It was quiet and raw. She said she was scared. That she didn't recognize herself. That the world felt blurry. That she felt like she was floating, untethered, watching her life from behind a foggy window. Dr. Brent called it insight. A first step. Nick called it a miracle. Back in Genoa City, life moved on. But not without holes. Crimson Lights had become quieter, its pulse slower. Mariah tried to fill in, but her heart wasn't in it. Ray stopped by occasionally, always with a somber look. He still loved her, in his own way. But he'd accepted that he couldn't fix her. Only she could do that. Nick found himself haunted by memories. The laughter, the shared parenting moments, the quiet nights on the couch. The firelight on Sharon's face.